They told me to sit in the back, to keep my head down, to stay quiet, as if my voice didn't matter. But that night, when the lights hit the stage and every eye turned toward me, even my mother's face froze in disbelief. She had no idea that the girl she once called a disappointment was about to make everyone remember her name. Before I tell you how everything changed, make sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and share your thoughts in the comments, because this story will make you believe in second chances. My name is Rose, and this is how my silence became the loudest sound in the room. Growing up, I was never the favorite child. My older sister Clara was the shining star, the one who always knew how to make my parents proud. Straight A's, perfect hair, confident smile. She was everything I wasn't. And me? I was the quiet one, the girl who loved to draw, sing, and write stories, but never showed anyone because I was terrified of being laughed at. My mother used to say, "Rose, you live in your own world. You'll never survive in the real one." I used to laugh it off, but inside it hurt, because she was probably right. When I turned 16, my school announced an annual talent showcase, the biggest event of the year. Students from every class performed, singing, dancing, acting. It was a night that everyone remembered. For years, I sat in the audience, watching others shine, clapping for their courage. But that year, something in me shifted. I didn't want to just sit and watch anymore. I wanted to try. So one morning, I gathered all my courage and signed up for the singing category. When I came home and told my mom, her reaction was exactly what I feared. She froze, then said in a sharp tone, "You? Singing on stage? Rose, don't embarrass us. You know you're not like Clara. Why can't you just stay in the audience where you belong?" Her words hit harder than I expected. But for once, I didn't argue. I just said, "Okay," and walked away. But inside, something broke and rebuilt at the same time. That night, I sat by my window, staring at the stars. Maybe it was foolish, but I whispered to myself, one day, I'll make her proud, even if she doesn't believe in me now. The next few weeks were tough. I practiced every night in secret because I didn't want anyone to hear. Not my mom, not Clara, not even my friends. I'd close my door, plug in my small earphones, and sing softly so no one would notice. But life has a strange way of testing you when you start believing in yourself. One evening, I was practicing a song for the show when my mom suddenly opened the door. She stood there, arms crossed, staring at me. "What is this?" she asked. I froze. "I was just practicing," I said nervously. "For what? To make a fool of yourself in front of the whole school?" Her voice was sharp, filled with disappointment. "Rose, stop living in dreams. You're not made for the spotlight. Please, just sit in the back and don't embarrass us." And with that, she left the room, closing the door behind her. I sat there in silence, tears welling up. For a moment, I wanted to quit. But then I remembered something my music teacher once told me. When the world tells you no, let your voice say yes. So, I wiped my tears and pressed play again. The day of the event arrived faster than I expected. The auditorium buzzed with excitement. Everyone looked beautiful, confident, except me. My hands were shaking. My mother and sister sat in the second row, whispering and smiling at everyone. I saw them glance at me once and then look away. When the host called my name, my heart nearly stopped. "Next up, Rose from Class 11B." I stood up, legs trembling, and started walking toward the stage. I could hear my mother's voice from behind me, quiet but sharp. "Sit in the back and don't embarrass us." I wanted to stop. I really did, but I kept walking, step by step, heartbeat by heartbeat, until the lights hit my face. I couldn't see anyone anymore, just the bright glare of the stage lights and the microphone waiting for me. The music started. My lips trembled as I sang the first note, low, shaky, but real. For the first few seconds, the crowd was silent. I could feel my mother's stare burning into me. But then something changed. My fear melted away, replaced by a strange calm. My voice grew stronger, clearer. Every line I sang carried years of silence, pain, and longing. It wasn't perfect, but it was honest. By the time I reached the final chorus, something happened I never imagined. The audience stood up and started clapping. I finished the song, breathless and teary-eyed. When the lights dimmed, I looked toward my mother. Her face was pale, her mouth slightly open. She wasn't clapping. She was just staring. For the first time in my life, she didn't have words. I stepped off the stage and walked backstage, my heart still pounding. My classmates hugged me, saying I was amazing, but all I could think about was her reaction. Did I embarrass her, or did I make her proud, even just for a second? After the show ended, I stayed back to help pack up. The hallway was quiet when I heard footsteps behind me. It was my mother. She looked at me for a moment before saying, "You surprised me tonight." Her voice was softer than usual, but before I could respond, she added, "Don't let it get to your head. It was just one performance." Then she turned and walked away. I stood there frozen, not sure whether to smile or cry. But that night, as I lay in bed, I didn't feel sad. I felt something new, something powerful. For the first time, I realized I didn't need her approval to believe in myself. And that realization was just the beginning of everything that came next. The next morning when I woke up, sunlight spilled through my curtains like a quiet reminder that something had changed. I could still hear the applause from last night echoing in my ears, a sound I'd never forget. For the first time, I didn't wake up dreading what others would say. I woke up feeling proud. But as I walked into the kitchen, the warm feeling faded. My mother sat at the table, sipping her tea, her face unreadable. My sister Clara was scrolling through her phone, smirking. "Good morning," I said softly. Clara looked up. "You've gone viral," she said with a laugh. I frowned. "What do you mean?" She turned her phone toward me. There it was, a video of my performance from last night, posted by someone from school. Thousands of views, hundreds of comments. Some said things like, "She was incredible," and "Where has she been hiding?" But mixed among them were others, harsh, judgmental, even cruel. "She's just pretending." Her voice cracked twice. "Trying too hard to be special." I tried to smile, but my chest felt heavy. My mother didn't look up from her cup. She said, "This is why I told you not to draw your attention to yourself. People will always find something to mock." For a moment, I wanted to argue. I wanted to tell her that for once I wasn't invisible, but I just nodded and walked out. At school, everything felt different. People who barely noticed me before suddenly smiled when I passed. Some called me the singer girl. Others whispered when I walked by. My best friend Mia ran up and hugged me. "Rose, you were amazing last night. Everyone's talking about it." I laughed, feeling my cheeks warm. You really think so? Think so? I know so. Even Mr. Hall said he's never seen a performance like that from a student before. For the first time, I felt a strange spark of hope. Maybe, just maybe, things were changing for the better. But not everyone was happy about it. As I walked down the hall, Clara stood with her group of friends near the lockers. She glanced at me and rolled her eyes. Guess being average is cool now, she said loudly. Her friends laughed. I looked away, pretending not to care. But inside, it hurt. She was my sister, and she couldn't stand that for once the spotlight wasn't on her. That afternoon, an announcement came over the speaker. All participants of the talent showcase, please report to the auditorium. When I got there, our principal and music teacher stood on the stage. They were holding a silver trophy. Last night's performance was one of the best we've ever had, and after reviewing the votes, the winner of this year's showcase is Rose from Class 11B. For a second, I didn't move. My heart stopped. The students clapped, cheering, calling my name. I walked up, hands trembling, and accepted the trophy. It shimmered under the lights, small, but it felt like the whole world. As I looked out at the crowd, I saw my mother standing at the back of the auditorium. I didn't know she'd come. Her expression was unreadable, but her eyes were fixed on me. For a brief moment, our eyes met, and I thought I saw something softer in them. Maybe pride, maybe surprise. I couldn't tell. That evening, when I reached home, my mom was already there. The trophy was still in my hand. She glanced at it. "So you won," she said flatly. I nodded. "Yes, Mom." She looked away. "Just remember, one moment of applause doesn't mean you've made it." Her tone stung, but I tried to stay calm. "I didn't do it to make it, Mom. I just wanted to prove that I could." She didn't respond. Clara, standing nearby, crossed her arms. "Well, don't let it get to your head. It's just a school thing, not a big deal." I turned toward her. "Maybe not, but it means something to me." She rolled her eyes and walked away. I sighed and went to my room, placing the trophy on my desk. It sparkled under the light, a silent reminder that even if no one else saw it, I had done something brave. A week passed. My life started changing faster than I could keep up with. The school invited me to perform again, this time at a city event, a real stage, with an actual audience. I couldn't believe it. When I told my mom, she didn't react at first. Then finally, she said, "You're going to embarrass yourself in front of strangers now." But this time, I didn't flinch. "No, Mom," I said firmly. "I'm going to show them who I am." She stared at me, like she didn't recognize the girl standing in front of her. The night of the city event arrived. The stage was much bigger, the lights brighter. I could hear hundreds of voices in the audience. My heart raced. I peeked through the curtain and froze. My mother was there, and so was Clara. Clara looked irritated, arms crossed, but my mom, she looked nervous, like she was the one about to perform. I took a deep breath. Backstage, the coordinator smiled. "You ready, Rose?" I nodded, though my stomach felt like it was twisting. As I walked onto the stage, I could hear whispers. people murmuring, recognizing me from the viral video. The music began. My hand shook as I held the microphone. The first note came out soft, fragile, but then I saw her, my mother, sitting in the front row this time, not the back, watching, listening. Something in me unlocked. I poured my heart into every lyric, every word. The audience clapped in rhythm, cheering. The energy was electric. By the end, when the final note faded, I stood there in silence, breathing hard, chest rising and falling, as the crowd erupted into applause. It was louder than before, louder than anything I'd ever heard. But what caught my attention wasn't the noise. It was her. My mother was standing, clapping, smiling. Not the polite smile she gave to others, but a real one. The kind I hadn't seen since I was a child. For a moment, I forgot where I was. I just smiled back, tears filling my eyes. After the performance, I walked backstage, my hands still trembling. Reporters wanted interviews, students asked for pictures. It all felt surreal. Then through the crowd, my mother appeared. She didn't say anything at first. She just reached out and touched my arm gently. "You were amazing," she said quietly. It was such a small sentence, but to me, it meant everything. I blinked back tears. "Thank you, Mom." She looked at me, her eyes softer than I'd ever seen. "You didn't embarrass us, Rose. You made us proud." My throat tightened. I wanted to say something, but no words came out. She smiled faintly and said, "Come on, let's go home." As we walked out together, cameras flashing, I realized something. I hadn't just changed her opinion. I had changed how I saw myself. For the first time, I wasn't the girl told to sit in the back. I was the girl who stood in the spotlight and earned her place there. But what I didn't know was that one person wasn't happy about my success. Someone who thought the spotlight should have been theirs all along. And they were about to make sure I lost everything I had gained. The following week, everything started to fall apart. At first, I didn't notice it. The whispers, the strange looks, the quiet tension that followed me through the hallways. I thought maybe I was just imagining it. But soon I realized something was wrong. Mia ran up to me one morning, panic on her face. "Rose, did you see the video?" "What video?" I asked. She pulled out her phone and showed me. Someone had uploaded a clip of me performing at the city event, but the sound was edited. My voice cracked in every line, and the captions mocked me cruelly. The title read, "Fake singer caught lip-syncing. Truth revealed." My heart dropped. "That's not real," I said quickly, my voice trembling. "You were there, Mia. You know I sang live." "I know, Rose, but people online don't. Look at the comments. Thousands of them. Some were defending me, but most were laughing, calling me fake, saying I only won because of sympathy." It felt like my chest was caving in. "Who would do this?" I whispered. Mia hesitated. "I think you already know." I didn't want to believe it, but deep down I did. That night, I went home and walked straight into Clara's room. She was sitting on her bed, scrolling through her phone, smiling. "You did this," I said quietly. She looked up, pretending not to understand. "Did what?" I took a deep breath. The video. You edited it, didn't you? Her smile faded slightly. You're imagining things, Rose. Stop lying, I snapped, my voice shaking. Why would you do that? I thought we were finally past this. She stood up. Past what? Watching you turn into some perfect little angel? You think one performance makes you special? Everyone forgot me the second you went viral. So that's it, I said, tears forming. You tried to ruin me because you were jealous? She crossed her arms, her expression cold. Jealous? No, Rose. I'm just reminding people who you really are. A nobody trying too hard to be somebody. Her words cut deeper than any knife. I took a step back, heart pounding. You know what's sad, Clara? You'll never be happy. Not because of me, but because you don't know who you are without hurting someone else. I left her room before she could respond. The next few days were brutal. My phone buzzed nonstop, messages, comments, articles. Some teachers looked at me with pity, others avoided eye contact altogether. Even my mother stayed silent, unsure what to believe. I thought about quitting. I thought about hiding again, going back to being invisible. But one evening, as I sat alone in my room staring at my reflection, I saw something in my own eyes, something new. Strength. No matter what they said, I knew the truth, and I wouldn't let a lie define me again. The city was hosting another event, a charity gala for young artists. When the invitation came, I almost turned it down, but then I remembered something my mother once said back when I was little. If you walk away every time someone doubts you, you'll spend your whole life running. So, I decided not to run. I was going to sing again, not to prove anything to them, but to remind myself who I was. The night of the gala arrived. The hall was even grander this time, filled with reporters, teachers, and people from the city's art community. Backstage, I felt my hands trembling. My heart raced, not out of fear, but out of determination. I saw my mother standing near the side of the stage, watching me quietly. She looked tired, but there was something different in her eyes. Understanding. You don't have to do this, she said softly. I do. Not for them, for me. She smiled faintly. Then go show them the real you. When I stepped onto the stage, the lights hit me like a wave of warmth. I took a deep breath, closed my eyes, and let the first note escape my lips. This time, I didn't think about the audience, or the rumors, or even the lies. I just thought about every moment that had brought me here. Every time I'd been told to sit in the back. Every time I'd been silenced. And I sang. The song wasn't about pain or revenge. It was about courage, about standing tall when the world tries to push you down. Halfway through, I opened my eyes, and I saw her. Clara, standing at the back of the hall, frozen, tears in her eyes. For a moment, I faltered. But then, instead of anger, I felt something else. Compassion. Because, for the first time, I realized she wasn't my enemy. She was just lost. So I sang the last verse directly to her, soft, forgiving, full of love. When I finished, the entire hall was silent for a heartbeat, and then the applause erupted. It was louder than anything I had ever heard before. I looked toward my mother. She was crying, and this time, she didn't hide it. After the event, I walked backstage, exhausted, but smiling. My mother rushed to me and hugged me tightly. I'm so proud of you, Rose. Not just because you sang beautifully, but because you didn't let hate change who you are. I hugged her back, my eyes stinging with tears. I just wanted you to believe in me. She pulled back and smiled. I always did, sweetheart. I was just too scared to show it. Before I could say more, I noticed Clara, standing nearby. Her makeup was smudged, her expression uncertain. "I'm sorry," she said softly. "I didn't mean for it to go that far." I looked at her, really looked at her, and for the first time, I didn't feel anger. "I forgive you," I said quietly. "We both made mistakes, but it's not too late to start again." Her lips trembled, and then she nodded slowly. "Thank you." That night, as we drove home, the air between us felt different, lighter. When we reached our house, my mom turned to me. "You know, Rose, the first time you stepped on that stage, I was terrified. I told you to sit in the back because I thought the world would hurt you. But you showed me that sometimes the only way to protect yourself is to shine." Her words broke me in the best way. I smiled through my tears. "I just wanted you to make me proud." She reached over and squeezed my hand. "You did, my love. You did." Later that night, I stood in front of my window, looking at the stars. The city lights shimmered below, a world that had once felt so far away. Now, it felt like mine. I thought about everything that had happened, the pain, the betrayal, the fear, and how it all led to this moment of peace. Because sometimes the people who doubt you the most aren't your enemies. They're just reflections of the fears you have to conquer. And when you finally do, they start to see your light too. As I turned off the light and climbed into bed, I whispered to myself, "I'll never sit in the back again." And for the first time in my life, I knew I never would.